The massive ship appeared without warning above Earth's moon. Its crystalline hull caught the sunlight and threw it back in rainbow patterns across space. On the bridge of the human monitoring station Luna 7, alarms started screaming. Unknown. Vessel, this is Luna Control. Captain Rodriguez spoke into his headset. Please identify yourself and state your purpose in this system. The response came in perfect English, though the voice sounded like wind chimes in a gentle breeze. Greetings, primitive mammals of Earth. I am Ambassador Zethkar of the Hegemony Alliance. We come with an offer of great importance. Rodriguez looked at his crew. They had trained for this moment for 50 years, ever since humanity's first contact with alien life. But training and reality were very different things. The ship floating outside was easily 10 times larger than Earth's biggest space station. You may dock at Base 7, Rodriguez replied, trying to keep his voice steady. Within hours, news of the alien arrival spread across Earth. Secretary General Maria Santos stood in the United Nations building in New Geneva, watching the feeds from Luna 7. Behind her, representatives from every nation on Earth waited in nervous silence. The alien that stepped off the transport shuttle was nothing like the movies had predicted. Zethkar stood nearly 3 meters tall, with skin that looked like living crystal. His 4 arms moved with fluid grace, and when he spoke, his mouth didn't move at all. The words seemed to come from somewhere inside his chest. People of Earth, Zethkar began. Your world stands at the center of a great conflict. For 1,000 years, the Hegemony Alliance has been at peace with our ancient enemies, the Void Consortium. But that peace has ended. War comes again to this galaxy. Santos stepped forward. She was a small woman compared to the alien, but her voice carried across the room with authority. What does this have to do with Earth, Ambassador? Your system lies in neutral space between our territories, Zethkar explained. Both sides will want to use it as a staging ground for attacks. We offer you protection in exchange for the right to build military bases on your outer planets. Before Santos could respond, another alarm echoed through the building. On the main screen, a second ship appeared in Earth's system. This one looked completely different from Zethkar's vessel. Where the Hegemony ship was all crystal and light, this new arrival seemed to be made of living metal that twisted and changed shape as they watched. It appears the consortium has beaten us here, Zethkar said, his chime-like voice taking on a harder tone. The second alien delegation arrived at the UN building within 6 hours. Their leader called itself Nexus Prime Vril and looked like a nightmare made real. Its body was a collection of metal tendrils and organic components that never stopped moving. When it spoke, the words came from speakers built into its chest. Humans. Vril's mechanical voice buzzed. The Hegemony has lied to you. They do not offer protection. They offer slavery. Join with the Void Consortium instead. We will give you technology beyond your dreams. All we ask is access to your world's resources. Santos looked between the two aliens. Around the room, human diplomats whispered among themselves. Everyone knew this moment would decide Earth's future. Gentlemen, Santos said, Earth appreciates both offers, but we need time to consider our options. Perhaps you could both return to your ships while we discuss this among ourselves? Zethkar's crystal body flared brighter. Time is a luxury you do not have, human. The war begins soon, whether you choose to participate or not. The crystal speaker is correct, Vril agreed, its tendrils writhing. Both fleets are already moving toward your system. Choose quickly, or be destroyed by the side you do not support. After the aliens left, Santos called an emergency meeting with her military advisors. Admiral Chen Wei, commander of Earth's Space Forces, spread holographic displays across the conference table. Both sides think we're helpless, Chen said. They look at our ships and see primitive technology. They think we only learned faster-than-light travel 50 years ago because that's when we first contacted them. Santos nodded. Let them keep thinking that. How are our real preparations? Hidden fleets are in position throughout the outer system, Chen reported. The Mars shipyards finished the last batch of stealth destroyers yesterday. Luna Base is fully armed and operational. All orbital platforms are online and disguised as civilian installations. Dr. Sarah Kim, Earth's head of xenological research, leaned forward. The psychological profiles we've built suggest both species think in very predictable patterns. They expect us to choose one side and hope for protection. They don't expect us to fight. More importantly, added General Harrison from Earth Defense, Command, they don't expect us to win. Every alien species we've encountered thinks the same way. They see conflict as something to be avoided or ended quickly. They don't understand that humans see war differently. Santos walked to the window and looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there, two massive fleets were moving toward Earth. The aliens thought they were playing a game with frightened primitives, who would be grateful for any protection they could get. They were wrong. Activate Protocol 7, Santos ordered. All hidden installations go to full readiness. Recall all our deep space scouts, but keep them stealthed. I want to know exactly what we're facing before they arrive. What about the ambassadors? Chen asked. Keep negotiating with both sides. Let them think we're weighing our options. The longer they believe we're helpless, the more advantages we get. Over the following days, both alien ambassadors increased their pressure on Earth's leaders. Zethkar painted pictures of consortium ships bombing human cities from orbit. Vril showed holographic displays of hegemony forces enslaving entire populations. Both offers sounded generous on the surface, but the humans could read between the lines. Neither side really cared about Earth or its people. They just wanted a convenient base of operations in neutral space. In their minds, humans were barely intelligent enough to be useful servants. What neither ambassador knew was that human intelligence had been intercepting their communications since the moment they arrived. The translation programs Earth's scientists had developed were far more advanced than anything the aliens suspected. The intercepted messages revealed the truth. Both fleets were massive, numbering in the thousands of ships. Both sides expected to fight a quick battle for control of Earth's system, then use the planet as a base for attacks on enemy territory. Neither side had bothered to study human military capabilities in any detail. Dr. Kim presented her analysis to the Emergency Council. They're making the same mistake everyone makes about humans. They think because we evolved on one planet and only recently achieved space travel, we must be weak and inexperienced. They don't understand that humans have been fighting wars for thousands of years, General Harrison added. Every weapon they use, we've found ways to counter. Every tactic they employ, we've already planned responses for. Santos made her decision. Continue the negotiations. Let both sides think they're close to getting what they want. When their fleets arrive, we'll show them what humans are really capable of. As the alien ambassadors pressured Earth's leaders to choose sides, hidden human ships moved into position throughout the solar system. Advanced weapons that had been disguised as civilian equipment powered up for the first time. Soldiers who had trained their entire lives for this moment checked their equipment one final time. The galaxy was about to learn that Earth's humans were not the primitive species they appeared to be. The question was whether the lesson would come in time. To save anyone. The first ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system, like stars suddenly blazing to life. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the human flagship Defiance, watching the sensor displays with calm eyes. Around him, his crew worked quietly. At their stations. Contact, reported Lieutenant Torres from the sensor station. Hegemony fleet dropping out of hyperspace at 12 light minutes from Sol. Count is massive, sir. Over 3,000 ships. Consortium fleet arriving simultaneously, added Ensign Park. Different vector, but same distance. Their numbers match the hegemony force. Chen nodded. Both alien fleets had timed their arrival perfectly to face each other across Earth's solar system. The planet hung between them like a prize to be won. "Open channels to both fleet commanders," Chen ordered. The main screen split to show two very different alien faces. On the left, Fleet Marshal Kethvar of the Hegemony appeared as a massive crystal being whose body pulsed with internal light. On the right, War Prime Nexus 9 of the Void Consortium looked like a mechanical spider made of living metal. "Admiral Chen," Kethvar's voice chimed like breaking glass. "You have had time to consider our offer. The Hegemony fleet is here to protect Earth from Consortium aggression. Grant us landing rights on your outer planets, and your world will be safe." "False promises," Nexus 9's electronic voice buzzed. "The Consortium offers Earth true partnership. Give us access to your system's resources, and we will elevate your species beyond its current limitations." Chen looked at both aliens with the expression of a man discussing the weather. "Fleet Marshal War Prime, Earth respectfully requests that both fleets withdraw from our system immediately. We have no desire to be involved in your conflict." Both aliens stared at him in surprise. Then Kethvar began what might have been laughter, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. "Admiral, you have 200 primitive ships. We have brought 6,000 vessels equipped with weapons that could shatter your planet. You are in no position to make requests." "The crystal speaker is correct," Nexus 9 agreed. "Your species achieved spaceflight only recently. You cannot comprehend the forces at work here. Choose protection or face annihilation." Chen's expression didn't change. "Final. Warning, leave our system." Both alien commanders looked at each other across the communication link, then back at Chen. Their expressions showed the same thing: disbelief that such a primitive species would dare threaten them. "Very well," Kethvar said. "We will remove this obstacle ourselves." The communications cut out. On the tactical display, both alien fleets began moving toward Earth. Their formation was classic military doctrine: massive ships in the center, smaller vessels spread in protective screens around them. "All human ships, this is Admiral Chen," he broadcast on the general fleet frequency. "The demonstration is authorized. Show them what Earth builds." Along the orbital path of Mars, what had appeared to be mining stations suddenly transformed. Their solar collection arrays folded back to reveal massive energy weapons. Hidden compartments opened to launch swarms of fighters that had been completely invisible to alien sensors. The asteroid belt came alive as hundreds of hidden installations powered up their engines and weapon systems. What the aliens had scanned as simple mining operations revealed themselves as heavily armed battle stations. But the real surprise came from the human fleet itself. Chen's 200 ships had looked primitive compared to the massive alien vessels. That was intentional. Each human ship was less than half the size of the smallest alien cruiser. When they opened fire, reality shifted. The Defiance's main gun charged with a sound like thunder. When it fired, the beam didn't just hit its target. It went through the Hegemony cruiser, through the battleship behind it, and through 3 more vessels before finally dissipating. The human weapon had been designed to penetrate energy shields that shouldn't exist according to alien understanding of physics. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as human ships revealed capabilities that defied every assumption the aliens had made. Their armor wasn't just strong, it bent space around itself to deflect incoming fire. Their engines didn't just move them quickly, they could phase between dimensions to avoid attacks entirely. "Impossible," Kethvar's voice crackled over the emergency frequency. "These readings cannot be correct. How do they have quantum fold technology?" On the consortium flagship, Nexus 9 was having similar problems. War group leaders report massive casualties. Human weapons are using dark matter manipulation. This technology should not exist in this galaxy. The truth was simple, though neither alien commander could accept it. Humanity had been studying captured alien technology for 50 years. But more than that, they had improved it. Every weapon, Every defensive system, every engine design had been rebuilt from the ground up by human engineers who approached problems differently than any other species in the galaxy. Where alien engineers built for efficiency and predictable performance, humans built for maximum damage output and survivability in combat conditions. The results spoke for themselves. A hegemony dreadnought, massive as a small moon, turned its primary weapons toward the human fleet. The crystalline beam that erupted from its bow could have melted a continent. It struck the human destroyer relentless and simply stopped, absorbed by armor that converted energy attacks into power for the ship's own weapons. The Relentless responded by launching what appeared to be a simple missile. When it reached the dreadnought, it didn't explode. Instead, it began eating through the alien ship's hull with swarms of microscopic machines that converted matter into more of themselves. "Admiral," Lieutenant Torres reported, "both alien fleets are attempting to withdraw to long-range positions." Chen watched the tactical display as thousands of alien ships tried to pull back from the human force. They were learning the first lesson of fighting humans. Size and numbers meant nothing if you couldn't hit your target. "Negative," Chen replied. "Pursue and engage. They came here with weapons. That makes them enemy combatants." The human fleet moved forward with a coordination that stunned the alien observers. Every ship knew exactly where every other ship would be at any given moment. Their formations flowed like living things, adapting to threats and opportunities faster than alien computers could calculate responses. More importantly, the humans fought with a viciousness that neither alien species had ever encountered. When a human ship took damage, it didn't retreat for repairs. It accelerated toward the nearest enemy vessel and kept firing until either its target was destroyed or it was destroyed itself. Most shocking of all, the human crews seemed to enjoy the combat. Intercepted communications from human ships revealed laughter, jokes, and expressions of satisfaction as they destroyed alien vessels. Neither the hegemony nor the consortium had ever fought an enemy that actually wanted to be in battle. Fleet Marshal, one of Kethvar's subordinates, reported, "The human weapons are not just advanced, they are designed specifically to counter our defensive systems. They have been studying us for decades. On the consortium flagship, Nexus 9 was receiving similar reports. War Prime, recommend immediate withdrawal. Human tactics are unlike anything in our databases. They fight like they enjoy destroying their enemies." Both fleet commanders tried to establish communication with Earth's leadership, hoping to negotiate a ceasefire. What they got instead was Admiral Chen's calm voice delivering a simple message. "You brought weapons to our home. In human culture, that is an act of war. We do not negotiate with invaders." As the battle continued, something became clear to the alien observers throughout the galaxy who were monitoring the engagement. The humans weren't just defending their system, they were systematically destroying every alien ship they could reach, regardless of whether those ships were still fighting or trying to surrender. The engagement that both alien fleets had expected to be a quick conquest was turning into the worst military disaster either civilization had experienced in over 1,000 years, and the humans showed no signs of slowing down. "All ships," Chen broadcast to his fleet, "prepare for pursuit operations. Any vessel that leaves this system carries information about our capabilities. Ensure that no alien ship survives to report what they have seen here." The hunt was about to begin. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been called at the desperate request of both the Hegemony Alliance and the Void Consortium. For the first time in 1,000 years, the ancient enemies were asking for help from the same source. Council. Chairman Veltar looked down at the assembled representatives from his elevated platform. The chamber, which usually echoed with political debates and trade discussions, now buzzed with fear and confusion. "Fleet Marshal Kethvar," Veltar began, his tentacles writhing with agitation, "please explain to the Council why you have requested this emergency session." The crystal being who appeared on the holographic display was cracked and dimmed. Several of his 4 arms were missing, and his voice carried none of its previous chiming authority. Honored Chairman, the human species has committed acts of warfare that violate every understanding of civilized combat. 3 days ago, my fleet of 3,000 vessels engaged what appeared to be a primitive defense force. Less than 50 of my ships survived. Murmurs of disbelief echoed through the chamber. The Hegemony Alliance was one of the galaxy's major powers. For them to lose an entire fleet to a species that had only achieved spaceflight 50 years ago seemed impossible. War Prime Nexus 9, Veltar continued. Your report indicates similar losses. The mechanical being that appeared beside Kethavar was equally damaged. Half of its metal tendrils had been severed and its speakers crackled with static. The humans do not fight like any species we have encountered, Nexus 9 reported. They do not seek to minimize casualties or preserve their own forces. They attack with the sole purpose of destroying their enemies completely. Surely you exaggerate, interrupted Ambassador Threll of the Peaceful Expansion Coalition. No species fights without regard for its own survival. Kethavar's damaged form pulsed with angry light. We have recordings. Show them. The chamber's central display activated, showing battle footage from the engagement at Earth. The council members watched in growing horror as human ships rammed into alien vessels 10 times their size. They saw human fighters continue attacking, even when their ships were catastrophically damaged. Most disturbing of all, they heard the intercepted communications from human crews. Target destroyed, came a human voice over the recording. Moving to engage the next vessel. This is actually fun. Need assistance over here, another human said, laughing as his ship spun out of control. My engines are gone, but my guns still work. Ramming speed. The recording showed the human ship, trailing atmosphere and debris, accelerating directly into the side of a consortium battleship. The explosion destroyed both vessels, but the human pilot could be heard cheering even as his ship died. Silence fell over the council chamber. Several representatives had turned away from the display, unable to watch the brutal efficiency of human combat tactics. This is not warfare, whispered Delegate Yishan of the Contemplative Sphere. This is madness. It gets worse, Kethvar continued. After our fleets retreated, the humans pursued us, not just out of their system, but across 3 star systems. They hunted down every ship that escaped the initial battle. They gave no quarter, Nexus 9 added. Ships that attempted to surrender were destroyed. Medical vessels clearly marked with healing symbols were targeted first. They wanted to ensure that none of our wounded survived to fight again. Dr. Riltar, the Council's chief xenologist, accessed his databanks with trembling appendages. I have been reviewing our files on humanity. The species profile indicates they are persistence hunters who evolved from pack predators. But these combat behaviors suggest something far more concerning. Explain, Veltar demanded. Most species that achieve spaceflight do so by developing beyond their predatory instincts. Humans appear to have weaponized theirs. They do not fight to win territory or resources. They fight to eliminate threats permanently. The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. The concept of a spacefaring species that retained the kill-or-be-killed mentality of primitive hunters was terrifying to civilizations that had evolved beyond such instincts. There is more, Kethvar said, his voice barely audible. Our deep space monitors have detected human ships throughout the outer galaxy. Not the primitive vessels we expected, but advanced warships using technology we do not recognize. How many ships? Veltar asked. Unknown. They appear to have stealth capabilities that make accurate counting impossible. But preliminary estimates suggest thousands, possibly tens of thousands. The silence that followed was deafening. If the humans had that many advanced warships, they weren't just defending their home system. They were preparing for conquest. We request immediate council intervention, Nexus 9 said. Both the hegemony and consortium are willing to cease our conflict and combine our forces against this threat. You want the Council to authorize military action against a species we know nothing about? Veltar asked. We know enough, Kethvar replied. They are a threat to every civilized species in the galaxy. Left unchecked, they will destroy us all. Dr. Riltar had been frantically searching the archives during the discussion. Now his findings appeared on the chamber's displays, and his voice carried a tremor of fear. Council members, I have found something in the sealed archives. Records from the first galactic age, over 12,000 years ago. Ancient text scrolled across the screens, written in languages so old that translation programs struggled to process them. But the key passages were clear enough. There are references to a species called the Devourers, or the Endless Hunters. They came from a world designated as Origin Point Terra and spread across the galaxy using only kinetic weapons and fusion explosives. What happened to them? Veltar asked, though his voice suggested he already feared the answer. According to these records, the combined forces of the Elder races fought a war that lasted 300 years. The Devourers were not defeated in battle. They were contained, imprisoned on their homeworld and cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The implications hit the council chamber like a physical blow. Several representatives began speaking at once, their voices rising in panic. You're suggesting, Veltar said, his voice cutting through the chaos, that humanity is not a primitive species that recently achieved spaceflight? I'm suggesting, Dr. Riltar replied, that they are a species our ancestors fought a galactic war to contain, and somehow that containment has failed. The emergency alarms that began sounding throughout the council chamber confirmed everyone's worst fears. New reports were arriving from across the galaxy. Human ships had appeared in dozens of systems simultaneously, not as explorers or traders, but as invasion forces. Honored Council, came a transmission from the border worlds. Human fleets have surrounded our outer colonies. They are demanding unconditional surrender. They say they are reclaiming territory that was stolen from them long ago. Veltar looked out at the assembled representatives, seeing fear in every alien face. The galaxy's greatest civilizations had unknowingly provoked humanity into breaking free from their ancient prison. Emergency session declared, Veltar announced. All council fleets are to be mobilized immediately. Send word to every member species. We are now at war with humanity. As the council chamber emptied, representatives rushing to coordinate their species' defenses, Dr. Riltar remained behind, still reading the ancient archives. What he found in the deeper files would have terrified the council even more. The elder races hadn't just contained humanity because they were aggressive. They had contained them because humans were the only species that became more dangerous. The more pressure was applied to them. Every attack only made them stronger, more determined, more creative in their methods of destruction. The galaxy was about to learn why their ancestors had chosen imprisonment over extermination when dealing with the species from Earth. Some threats were too dangerous to fight. Some enemies were too adaptable to defeat. Some species were better left alone. Dr. Riltar had not slept in 4 days. The ancient archives of the Galactic Council contained millions of years of history, but the files he needed were buried in the deepest, most restricted sections, files that required authorization from the Council chairman himself to access. The war with humanity was going badly. In the 2 weeks since the emergency session, human fleets had appeared in over 100 systems across the galaxy. They moved with a coordination that suggested their expansion had been planned for decades, possibly centuries. Chairman Veltar, Dr. Riltar said as he entered the Emergency Command Center, I need to show you what I found in the Omega archives. Veltar looked up from the tactical displays showing the galaxy-wide conflict. Red markers indicated human attacks, and there were far too many of them. Doctor, unless you have found a way to defeat these creatures, I do not have time for historical research. Sir, this is about defeating them, but more importantly, It's about understanding what we're really fighting. The main display switched from battle reports to ancient text files, many written in scripts so old they predated most current galactic languages. Slowly, a picture began to emerge that chilled everyone in the command center. 12,000 years ago, Dr. Riltar began, a species appeared at the edge of galactic civilization. They called themselves humans, and they came from a world they named Earth. At first, the elder races welcomed them as another species reaching for the stars. At first, Veltar prompted, the humans were different from any species the galaxy had encountered. They didn't expand slowly and carefully like most civilizations. They spread like a virus, claiming systems faster than anyone thought possible. The display showed ancient star maps with expanding red zones marking human territory. The expansion wasn't random or exploratory. It was systematic, methodical, and aggressive. How were they able to expand so quickly? Asked General Thaxalon, the Council's military coordinator. They didn't follow galactic law, Dr. Riltar explained. Most species contact the Council before expanding beyond their home systems. They negotiate for territory, establish trade agreements, follow diplomatic protocols. Humans did none of that. They simply took what they wanted, Veltar said, understanding, beginning to dawn in his voice. Worse than that, they didn't just take uninhabited systems. They invaded systems belonging to other species and claimed them as their own. But here's what made them truly dangerous. They didn't try to rule other species. They eliminated them. Silence fell over the command center. The concept of species-level genocide was so alien to galactic civilization that many races didn't even have words for it. The records showed that humanity fought every species they encountered, Dr. Riltar continued. Not for resources, not for territory, but because those species were there. They seemed to view the very existence of other intelligent life as a threat to be eliminated. But surely the elder races fought back, General Thaxalon asked. They tried. The archives contain battle records from the 300-year war. The elder races had superior technology, larger fleets, and greater resources. By every logical calculation, they should have crushed humanity easily. But they didn't. Veltar said. No. The humans had one advantage that no one anticipated. They adapted. Every weapon used against them, they found ways to counter. Every tactic employed against them, they developed responses for. Worse, they learned from every defeat and became stronger. The display showed tactical analyses from ancient battles. The pattern was always the same. Elder race forces would win initial engagements using superior technology and tactics. But, with each victory, the humans learned. Within months, sometimes weeks, they would return with countermeasures that neutralized their enemies' advantages. The turning point came in the Battle of the Seven Suns, Dr. Riltar said. The elder races deployed a weapon that could destroy entire star systems by destabilizing their primary stars. They used it to eliminate 3 human colonies, killing billions. That should have ended the war, General Thaxalon observed. Instead, it taught the humans that the elder races were willing to commit genocide to win. So humanity stopped trying to conquer and started trying to exterminate every other species in the galaxy. The records showed the aftermath of the Seven Suns battle. Human tactics changed completely. No longer did they try to capture territory or resources. They simply destroyed everything that belonged to other species. Planets were left lifeless. Entire civilizations vanished from the galaxy. The elder races realized they had created something worse than they were trying to stop, Dr. Riltar continued. A species that would not stop fighting until either they were extinct or everything else was. So they chose containment, Veltar said. It was the only option. Direct warfare had only made humanity stronger and more determined. So the elder races developed a different strategy. They would trap humanity on their home world and cut them off from the rest of the galaxy. The display showed the massive engineering project that had taken over 100 years to complete. Artificial barriers placed around Earth's solar system. Technology that made it impossible for humans to detect or reach other star systems. Monitoring stations hidden throughout local space to ensure the containment held. But humans eventually developed faster-than-light travel, General Thaxlon pointed out. How did they break containment? Dr. Riltar's expression grew grim. They didn't break containment. We broke it for them. Explain. The monitoring stations were automated and powered by the energy from Sol, Earth's star. They were designed to last forever, but they required regular maintenance. The elder races had planned for their descendants to continue that maintenance. But the elder races died out, Veltar realized. Not died out. Evolved beyond physical existence. They became beings of pure energy and no longer concerned themselves with material affairs. The monitoring stations gradually failed over thousands of years. When humanity achieved spaceflight 50 years ago, Dr. Riltar continued, they weren't making their first journey to the stars. They were testing whether their prison walls were still intact. The command center fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity's cautious expansion over the past 50 years hadn't been the tentative exploration of a primitive species. It had been the careful reconnaissance of a caged predator, testing the strength of its bars. Sir, interrupted communications. Officer Yentral, we're receiving a transmission from Earth. It's addressed to the Galactic Council. Put it through, Veltar ordered. The display switched to show a human woman in what appeared to be a simple office. She was middle-aged, unremarkable by human standards, but her eyes held a coldness that made several council members step backward. I am Secretary General Maria Santos of Earth, she began. I am speaking to inform the Galactic Council that humanity has decided to reclaim our rightful place in this galaxy. Your rightful place? Veltar asked. The territory that was stolen from us 12,000 years ago. The colonies that were destroyed. The worlds that were taken from us through treachery and deceit. Dr. Riltar consulted his records quickly. Chairman, according to the archives, humanity had claimed over 10,000 star systems before their containment. Santos smiled, and the expression was more terrifying than any weapon. We remember every world, every star, every system that was once ours. We have spent 12,000 years planning our return. The Council is willing to negotiate, Veltar said desperately. Surely we can reach some accommodation that avoids further warfare. The time for negotiation ended when you allowed foreign fleets to threaten Earth, Santos replied. In human culture, that constitutes an act of war. We are simply responding in kind. What do you want? Veltar asked. Unconditional. Surrender of all Council species. Immediate withdrawal of all non-human forces from human-claimed territory. Full reparations for 12,000 years of imprisonment. And if we refuse? Santos's smile widened. Then we will do what we should have done 12,000 years ago. We will eliminate every non-human species in this galaxy. The transmission ended, leaving the command center in stunned silence. Finally, General Thaxlon spoke. How many humans are there? Dr. Riltar checked his calculations. Earth's population is approximately 8 billion, but the archives suggest they had established colonies on hundreds of worlds before their containment. If those colonies survived, how many? Veltar demanded. Possibly trillions, and they've had 12,000 years to prepare for this moment. The galaxy was at war with a species that had been planning revenge for longer than most civilizations had existed. The emergency broadcast went out on every frequency known to galactic civilization. From the most advanced core worlds to the primitive frontier colonies, every species that had achieved spaceflight received the same desperate message. This is Chairman Veltar of the Galactic Council, the transmission began. All member species are hereby ordered to immediately cease any and all hostile actions toward Earth and its territories. Leave Earth out of this war. But it was already too late. In the 3 weeks since Secretary General Santos had declared humanity's intentions, The galaxy had learned the true scope of what they faced. Human fleets had emerged from hidden positions throughout space, revealing that Earth had never been the only human world. Hundreds of colonies, hidden for millennia, had been preparing for this moment. The Hegemony Alliance, once one of the galaxy's great powers, had ceased to exist as a political entity. Fleet Marshal Kethvar's final transmission had been a warning to any who would listen. Do not fight them. You cannot win. They do not fight like any species you know. The Void Consortium had lasted slightly longer, but only because they had immediately attempted to surrender after losing their first 3 fleets. The humans had accepted their surrender, then systematically hunted down and destroyed every consortium world anyway. Surrender means nothing to them. War Prime Nexus 9 had reported before his own ship was destroyed. They are not fighting for territory or resources. They are fighting for extinction. Ours. Admiral Chen Wei stood on the bridge of the Defiance, now serving as the flagship for Earth's expanding fleet. Around him, holographic displays showed the progress of Operation Reclamation across dozens of star systems. "Admiral," reported Captain Martinez from the communication station, "we're receiving the Council's broadcast. They're ordering all species to cease hostilities with us." Chen's expression didn't change. "Acknowledged. What's the status of the Centauri operation?" "Centauri Prime has been secured," Lieutenant Torres answered. "Remaining population has been relocated to the outer colonies as ordered. The system is clear for human resettlement." "And the Vega campaign?" "Resistance ended 12 hours ago. Admiral Jackson reports the system is ready for our colonists." The efficiency was terrifying in its simplicity. Human forces didn't occupy alien worlds or try to rule alien populations. They simply removed everything non-human from systems they claimed, then moved in their own people. It was the same strategy they had used 12,000 years ago, refined, and perfected over millennia of planning. "Sir," Captain Martinez said, "Secretary General Santos is requesting a conference call with all fleet commanders." The main display activated to show Santos in her office on Earth. Behind her, through the window, construction ships could be seen building new orbital platforms around the planet. "Admiral Chen, Admiral Jackson, Admiral Okafor," she began, acknowledging each of the fleet commanders in turn. "Status report on Phase 2 operations. All objectives achieved ahead of schedule," Admiral Chen reported. "We have reclaimed 47 star systems in the past month. Resistance has been minimal." "The aliens aren't fighting like we expected," Admiral Jackson added from his position near Vega. "Most species surrender immediately when they see our fleets. They don't seem to understand that surrender isn't an option." Santos nodded. The psychological profiles were correct. Most galactic species evolved past their survival instincts. They fight only when they believe they can win, and they surrender when defeat seems certain. "Ma'am," Admiral Okafor interjected, from her fleet near Rigel, "we're intercepting communications from the Galactic Council. They're trying to organize a unified response." "Let them try," Santos replied. "How many species have agreed to join their alliance?" "Less than 20% of council members. Most are either trying to flee to the outer galaxy or attempting to negotiate separate peace agreements with us." "Denied, of course." "All negotiations have been refused per standing orders," Admiral Chen confirmed. "We are not accepting partial, surrenders, or conditional ceasefires." Santos looked out at her fleet commanders with the expression of a teacher addressing particularly slow students. 12,000 years ago, our ancestors made the mistake of allowing some alien species to survive. They thought they could coexist with other intelligent life. That decision led to our imprisonment. "This time, we finish what they started," Admiral Jackson said. "This time, we ensure that humanity never again faces the threat of alien intervention in human affairs," Santos corrected. "The galaxy belongs to us. It always has. We're simply reclaiming what was stolen." The conference was interrupted by an incoming transmission from an unknown source. After a moment, the face of Chairman Veltar appeared on the display, his tentacles writhing with agitation. Secretary General Santos, Veltar began, I am speaking to request immediate negotiations to end this conflict. Santos looked at the alien with mild interest. Chairman Veltar, I wasn't aware the Council was interested in negotiation. Your member species have been shooting at our ships for weeks. That was a misunderstanding. We now realize the true situation. The Council is prepared to offer full recognition of human territorial claims and complete withdrawal from all systems you consider yours. All systems I consider ours, Santos repeated. Chairman, do you know which systems those are? Veltar's expression suggested he was beginning to understand the scope of the problem. Perhaps you could provide us with a list? Santos smiled, and the expression sent chills through every alien who saw it. All of them, Chairman. Every star system in this galaxy belongs to humanity by right of prior claim. Surely you cannot mean 12,000 years ago, humanity had expanded to 10,000 star systems before your predecessors imprisoned us. In the time since, we have identified every habitable world in this galaxy. They all belong to us. That's impossible, Veltar said, his voice rising. There are millions of inhabited worlds, billions of intelligent beings. You cannot simply claim everything. We're not claiming anything, Chairman. We're reclaiming what was always ours. Your species are trespassers on human territory. Admiral Chen stepped forward. Chairman, the Secretary General is being generous by offering relocation to the outer galaxy. The alternative is what happened to the hegemony and the consortium. You're talking about the extinction of galactic civilization, Veltar said, his tentacles now motionless with shock. We're talking about the restoration of proper order, Santos replied. Humanity alone has the right to claim the stars. We proved that 12,000 years ago, and we're proving it again now. The transmission from the Council chairman cut out, leaving the human commanders in silence. After a moment, Santos spoke again. Admiral Chen, how long until Phase 3 is ready to begin? The hidden fleets will be in position within 6 months. We'll be able to strike every major alien world simultaneously. Excellent. And the outer galaxy evacuation zones? Prepared and waiting. Any alien species that accepts immediate relocation will be allowed to live in the designated areas beyond the galactic rim. How generous of us, Admiral Jackson observed. It is generous, Santos said seriously. Our ancestors would have simply eliminated them all. We're offering them the chance to survive as long as they never again interfere with human affairs. Over. The following months, the Galactic Council's desperate plea echoed across space. Leave Earth out of this war. But the plea was directed at the wrong audience. The war wasn't between alien species. The war was humanity reclaiming what they believed was rightfully theirs. Some species accepted the offer of relocation to the outer galaxy. They gathered their populations and fleets and fled to the dark regions beyond the galactic rim, hoping to rebuild their civilizations far from human space. Others chose to fight. They formed desperate alliances and threw everything they had against the advancing human fleets. Without exception, they were destroyed. A few tried to hide, hoping to wait out the human expansion and return when the storm had passed. Human deep space scouts found them all. There would be no hidden alien colonies, no secret bases, no forgotten outposts. The galaxy was becoming human space, one star system at a time. In her office on Earth, Secretary General Santos looked out at the orbital construction platforms that were building the new human fleet. The ships under construction were larger and more advanced than anything humanity had revealed so far. Phase 4 vessels? Admiral Chen asked, following her gaze. For exploration beyond the galactic rim, Santos confirmed. We'll need to make sure the relocated species don't become a problem in the future. And if they do? Santos turned back to her desk, where reports from across the galaxy showed the steady progress of human expansion. Soon, every star in the Diza Sea galaxy would shine on human worlds alone. Then we'll finish what we started here, she said simply. The universe is a big place, Admiral, but it's not big enough for humanity and anyone else. The era of galactic civilization was ending. The human era had begun.